The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to another Keefer and Kurre sports little show we do every single week right here on Tony Kurre Radio, wherever you get your favorite podcast. We're available on every major industry out there. We like to cross over different indices, so chances are if you see us on one thing, you'll probably see us 2 or 3 different times. And of course, we've done hundreds of shows, so we go way back, and basically it's the stuff we like to talk about. So sometimes we do our shows. We usually record on Mondays. This week we're recording on a Tuesday. And I wanted to go through a couple of things with you as we get ready for our big show on Saturday on ABC 3340. Before we move forward, though, I know you have a couple of things you want to announce because we have a hellacious show going on.
Oh,
this
man.
at ABC 3340.
Unbelievable.
Do tell.
Tony Kurre has rounded up Alabama legendary running back Trent Richardson, who's going to join us. That's the big headliner. But also major headlines. We have had national correspondents for the last bunch of years on radio and television. Terry Quillian in Houston, Case Keefer, of course, out in the desert in Las Vegas. Tony, I am really excited that Terry and Case are both going to be in studio on Thursday.
Nice.
We're going to have Bone Fragments with Tony and Trent. Then we'll have Case Keefer joining a legend, Case and King Keefer, as a matter of fact. My grandson, who's already a sports savant, they'll be joining legend in the cave, and I will have Terry Quillian and I teaming up for a combination Perspective Coach's Corner. It's going to be epic, and I've got a really nice tribute at the end of the show. Everybody who contributes to all of our efforts with Kip Keefer Sports, TKR, we're going to put everybody in the shot and acknowledge the entire group so you can get a perspective of all the people behind the scenes that make everything possible what we do.
Well, it has been quite the joy. I know you started this, I want to say 3 years ago, so it's probably closer to 4. And I remember you and I were sitting there talking because you used to do like 3 months on, 3 months off. You did things centered around the Kentucky Derby and different things. I remember you and I having a conversation, not to take any credit for it, but I said, man, what if you just continue to do this TV thing? You just did it every single week. Just don't just do it during college football season. And you were like, well, what the hell are we going to talk about during summer? I said, man, this is sports, baby. We got plenty of stuff to talk about.
And little did we know, college football is a 365-day-a-year breathing entity. It never stops giving stories.
It sure is. And speaking of that, there's a couple of college stories I want to get into today.
That's great.
Just happened this morning. I do want to mention Trent Richardson. I saw Trent at a restaurant this past weekend. Of course, he was doing a podcast with AJ McCarron. I'm not sure if they're still doing that.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah,
I'm not sure if they're still doing it or not because AJ obviously went off and did his thing, and of course they had the basketball. Our good friend who also was on that podcast as well. Anyway, he is. The best way I can pronounce is say he is a fire plug. I mean, he walked up to me. He has got muscles on top of muscles.
Oh, he was always a beast.
And I remember doing a show with him again 3 or 4 years ago on Jay Barker's network when he had his network, and he was getting phone calls while we were doing the show from the Atlanta Falcons asking if he wanted to come to camp. This was a year, 2 years removed from when he had hung it up. And he's like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to, get into that. Can I call you back after the show? I'm blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there looking at him and I'm like, and I don't quite remember exactly how much time he spent in the National Football League. It wasn't long. But
I think off and on 4 or 5 years, but not a long time.
Probably long enough to be okay for a while, for as long as he probably wants to be. But he came up to me and he's like, Bone. And I was like, Trent, where the hell you been, man? I said, because I've been reaching out to him to get him on our television show. When you walk at ABC 3340, there's a promo that runs with those 3 knuckleheads. Every time you walk in, it's hard to miss. And he's like, man, I'm sorry, I haven't got in touch with you. Been super busy, blah, blah, blah. If I'm not mistaken, he told me that and I hope I'm not giving out information I'm not supposed to, but I believe he said his 8th grader son just got recruited to Old
It's just ridiculous.
Now I've been doing sports radio for 30-something years, and we've seen things out of USC. Pete Carroll was notorious for giving out recruiting. He would give out scholarships to 7th graders out in USC because, man, when you were out in USC and you were on back in the 2003, 2004s, you had celebrities all over the place. It was something else when you got, and I can only imagine. So I went and pulled some tape up Wow. And I was telling Santa goes, "Is that Trent?" And I said, "Yeah." And I introduced him, and he, of course, he was like, "Dad." I'm like, "Santa, I work with these people. It's no big
Yeah.
deal." He's always surprised that I'm hanging out with Trent Richardson. I said, "No, this is. He's a friend of mine."
He's
And
used to pseudo celebrities like Kip
yeah,
Keefer.
I mean, I'm
instead.
not quite on the jackass phone. I'm actually on the good phone. He'll actually answer my phone call. And so he shook his hand, and he just had stars in his eyes, and he's sitting there, and you could just tell his mind was just rolling.
That's great.
And he said, "Dad," he goes, "could you imagine that running at you at 4.4 speed?" And I said, it would kill you. It would kill me. Seriously, if Trent Richardson had a running start of 10 yards, and I did everything I could to brace myself up, there's a
Yep.
really good chance that I would lose my life if he would hit me. I'm not joking. I think he would kill me. He would certainly break a lot of bones in my body. I'm 6'4", 6'5". I did some working out, but I'm certainly not a muscle-bound guy. I'm in pretty decent shape at 210. You're in the same shape. You're in great shape since you lost all this weight. You look fantastic. But I'm telling you right now, if you and I were standing side by side and Trent Richardson went between us, we would both be in the hospital for a week.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, I could not believe how well fit he is. So I can't wait for him to come on. And we may record a couple extra things so we can have him on during the season. Then we're going to get AJ McCarron
That'd
on.
be
So we'll
great.
talk about the Stallions and stuff. We'll get him on next week or the week after. So looking forward to that. That kind of goes along with what I wanted to talk about this morning. Dusty May, who just left the Michigan Wolverines to take the Dallas Mavericks job in basketball, no less, has told a very representative, well, a friend of his that's a representative and a very respected representative, that the reason he got out was because of NIL and the transfer portal.
Sure.
Period. That's it. That's it. He just won a national title, folks. He just won a national title, did it with a UAB guy. So it can happen. I mean, it's hard work, but you can make it happen. He won a national championship. And so maybe by the fact that him winning that, maybe he's like, I'm done here. I don't need to do any more.
Yeah.
Period. And then you get guys like the knucklehead from UConn who wants more. You know, he's like, oh, I won championships and I want to stay at UConn, and certainly enjoys the college aspect of it. But he said basically, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this NIL transfer stuff anymore. I don't want to deal with it. You and I were having a conversation. And don't know this for sure, but I could bet that as an eighth grader, if you're getting recruited to Ole Miss, chances are you're probably getting some checks in the mail.
Yeah, already.
My dad would ask me, go down to the mailbox. The kids love to get mail. Adults hate to get mail because it's all bills. My kids go out to the mailbox all the time, and I never get any money. And I'm like, don't go to the mailbox. And sometimes it's stacked up in there. There's a T-shirt in there. There's stuff from like 3 weeks. I don't even look at the mail. I get stuff from the IRS. I said, I do not want to look at the mail. Stop bringing me the mail. So I can imagine this eighth grader or his father, mother, whatever, how joyous it must be to get those envelopes that may have a return address on them, maybe not. I don't know. But the type of money that is scrolling out there, and I don't know. I know we're trying to fix college sports, and it's just gotten out of control. We knew it was going to, and there's some other stuff I want to get into as well in just a second that kind of goes along with the same thing. The Power Four schools, and I don't know where this information comes from. This is from Front Office Sports. It says the average Power Four school so far during this offseason has offered $13.5 million in third-party money through NIL deals,
Collectives, yeah.
on top of the revenue sharing $20.5 million. So the NCAA versus the House was the $20.5 million.
Yeah.
You can spend 20, and that's it.
That's how they're getting around that order. Yes.
You know how they're getting around that, and you're right. They're not getting around it. They're moving it to the side, and they're just bulldozing it like Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
Through Kip
LSU
Keefer.
and Texas are both at $50 million right now for total payrolls this year.
And there's go ahead.
Yeah. 30 million of that have come from these third party collective things. It really usurps the whole process of what the House settlement established. That $20 million is supposed to be the maximum your entire athletic department can spend on NAI.
Your entire athletic department.
Absolutely.
18, 19, 20 different sports. Basketball, football, everything. Not just football, but everything. I say that again because I don't think people realize this ain't just $20 million for your college football program. This is for everybody.
And the 20 million was the cap on all athletics, but for football now, with the just runaway enthusiasm and the donor bases and the collectives very aggressively collecting money, they are putting football spending on top of that because, and this will be challenged eventually, I'm sure, but right now that's how they're getting around the House settlement, which was a legal settlement. That $20 million could go to your athletics in general, but now they're taking money for specifically football. They'll do the same in basketball when all that starts to heat back up. But right now, Texas and LSU are the poster children because they are right at $50 million for their football payroll this year.
That's amazing.
So they've committed all 20 basically of the House settlement money and 30 million from collectives. They're completely violating the spirit of the law and the actual practicality of the law.
I know how much you hate the Big Ten. I'm with you. It just and they're going to buy championship after championship.
They are.
We certainly saw that with Indiana this past year. That was not by mistake. That was not a fluke. Indiana has 820,000 alumni. Alabama has slightly over 200,000
and Mark
alumni.
Cuban.
And Mark Cuban,
who not only made billions selling his original programs for the internet and all that money that he made on that, but he's recently sold the Dallas Mavericks, who you just mentioned, and I'm sure that was worth a few billions. So Mark's sitting pretty good right now to help out the Indiana program, and he's right in the middle of it.
He really is. And I'm doing a little math here while we're doing this because I wanted to make sure that I had this right, because it is, and it's crazy. My brother, Mike Kurre, who is a minister
Ohio State guy,
lives right outside Delaware, Ohio, which is right outside campus of Ohio State, the big U up there. Sent me a letter, emailed me a letter that he got from Ohio State, from the Alumni Association, and they're asking each person, each alumni at Ohio State, and I believe they have 400,000 alumni at Ohio State, something like that. It's crazy how many alumni they have there. Because when you think about Alabama, you can't go anywhere in the world and not run into an Alabama Alumni Association. It's just like, and then when
they're everywhere.
When I hear an Indiana's got 4 times as many, I'm like, how is that?
I've been to the Alabama watch party in Las Vegas, and there were probably 300 people there.
It's crazy. They have sent out a letter in support of Ohio State athletics. They're asking each of their alumni to donate a one-time $100 gift to the athletic department. And if you do the math, that comes out to $80 million. Based on just, now you got people obviously that are willing to stroke checks for millions of dollars. You have some people that aren't willing to give any money at all. But if you think of it, a one-time deal, that sounds like a pretty sweet deal. If I go to college and all they're asking me for is, I get
$100
Springs, $100. I'm like, and that's all you want is $100. Okay, I'm good. And you're going to get me a championship, $80 million. That sounds like a hell of a deal right there. And then you think about the Indianas, you think about these other schools. So they're thinking really smart to the point where they don't even need to have collectives are gone. You don't have to worry about collectives. But yeah, the money is just outstanding. Because I kept thinking to myself, it's going to dry up, right? Only the best players are going to be getting money. Now everyone's getting paid. I mean, every lineman on Texas Tech is getting 25 grand again this year. It is just outrageous. It's crazy. It blows my mind to see what the kind of money that's being spent in college sports right now. And I just don't see how it's going to end.
Well, back to what you were talking about, Trent's son, who's already being recruited. This all started, Missouri was one of the only states that had a law in the books that did not prohibit, underage prospects, athletes to receive money. So Missouri exploited that deal. That's how they became prominent for a few years. They got guys like Brady Cook and Luther Burden, who became stars, and a couple of defensive linemen whose names escape me. But Luther Burden, the receiver, who's now playing for the Chicago Bears in the NFL, and he was outstanding last year in the playoffs. Luther at Missouri began receiving checks in his sophomore year in high school. do. And I can't even imagine, as a dad, Tony, if Santo had been a celebrated athlete and started getting checks in the 8th, ninth, 10th grade for 25, 30,000, how would you have handled that? Would you have said, okay, we're opening an account for you? Or you just said, hey, let's go cash that. You can go wild. I don't,
Wow, well, as a parent, I guess I'd have to do it like grandma money. When grandma sends a check for $100, a percentage of it goes to savings, a percentage of it goes to
oh,
giving,
so you already had the
a percentage of it goes to the church, and then the other part, which is normally somewhere around 30-35%, you can go do whatever you want with.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
with 30,000, that would be interesting. Yeah.
good Lord, I mean, you're talking about $5 or $6, $7,000.
Yeah.
You're talking about kids
For a 14 or 15-year-old.
It's incredible. It's crazy. They deserve to do something with the money, whether they want to
Oh,
go
well,
buy
sure.
a nice Xbox or go put the money down. Hey, you want to buy a brand new car? I mean, this is going to
Yep.
help some families out as well. But I can't imagine. I mean, hell, I remember working at Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was 15 years old, and I was making $3.10 an hour.
Yep.
Okay. And I got a raise to $3.25 an hour, and I was in Hootersville. I was so stinking happy. I was throwing money around like weekend at Bernie's. I was like, let's go. An extra 15 cents an hour. I was stuffing newspapers for my dad where I was making 40 cents 100 there. And I was cutting grass, making $2 an hour there, man. I mean, I had some spending cash, man. Like I could go any place and, buy whatever I wanted as long as it wasn't something over, 10 or 15 bucks. But that was good money back then, 14, 15, 16 years old, just to have money in your pocket. We didn't get allowances. That went out the door like when I was 8 or 9 years old. That was 50 cents a week, whatever that was, because you have to actually work to get your allowance, and I wasn't doing
Yeah.
that.
Not
Yeah, I
down the
mean,
road.
you're right. I mean, I think there's going to be something here where we're going to have to start taking some business classes. We're going to have to start taking some billing classes to make sure these kids know, because the money's only going to get bigger. If he's making 30,000 now, can you imagine what he's going to be making in high school?
Yeah, and they're probably sending that 3 times a year. It probably comes quarterly, maybe 4 times a year. So the register starts ringing when these kids are in high school. And Luther Burden end up, because of that, sticking with Missouri, despite when he became a senior. Every school in the country was recruiting him, but he was already bought and paid for. He was going to be a Missouri Tiger. He'd been on the payroll for 3 years already.
Pay your taxes, kids. Pay your taxes. They're gonna learn how to. I never thought in a million years we'd have 14-year-olds doing W-9 forms and stuff like that. And 1090, you're gonna have to start doing some taxes. Kids are gonna be doing taxes in high school. It's crazy.
Yeah, you don't need a counselor at high school. You need an accountant.
You really do. Hey, something else broke this morning, and I wanted to bring it up because it's so topical. And it's the number one story on ESPN. It just came across Spectrum News a few minutes ago as the number one story, which I thought was interesting.
So what do we got?
Supreme Court just a few seconds ago upheld state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams, and another setback for transgender people. The court's six-justice conservative majority, which has repeatedly ruled against transgender Americans the past year, ruled the state bans in Idaho and West Virginia don't violate the Constitution. The court unanimously agreed that barring transgender girls and women also doesn't run afoul of the federal law known as Title IX, which prohibits sex discrimination. Brett Kavanaugh wrote for the court that states may maintain women's and girls' sports for biological females. Interesting enough, I wanted to find out which women are for this and which ones are not for this, because you can kind of tell which ones are kind of going, and certainly in the mix with soccer going on right now with the World Cup, Megan Rapinoe, Becky Sauerbrunn, basketball player Sue Bird, and Brianna Stewart, all backing transgender women, saying this is a travesty. And then women like Martina Navratilova, Summer Sanders, and Donna Verona, who's a beach volleyball player, Carrie Walsh Jennings, who's also a beach, are all like, yeah, this is a good thing. We don't need to have transgender women. Left to be resolved is Becky Pepper Jackson. And again, we're talking about such a small percentage of sports as a whole that we're shopping and we're closing down the entire sport to bring this up, and you're talking about one or two individuals. But she's a sophomore in Bridgeport, West Virginia. She's been taking puberty blocking medication since she was 8. has publicly identified as a girl since 8 and has been issued a West Virginia birth certificate recognizing her as a female. She's the only transgender person who has sought to compete in girls' sports in West Virginia, yet we're closing the entire federal judges. I mean, but this is Supreme Court stuff. This is Supreme Court for one individual in West Virginia who says she's a girl and she wants to compete. And I think it's just really, really interesting. And I'm glad it's going that direction.
Me too.
You and I have spoken. Life ain't fair. This gal, this Becky Pepper Jackson, just set the state record for shot put by 4 feet.
Yeah.
4 feet. Normally you're talking inches, right? She just catapulted a shot put 4 feet past the state record at the age of 16. So yeah, there's something not right here. Obviously, shot put, you need muscular features and development and things in your body, and I don't care how much puberty blocking medication you're taking to change the way you look or the way you feel or the way you act, but there's still some incredibly different medical and physical attributes that males have over females that gives them an advantage, and certainly
absolutely. And the other glaring example was the swimmer in recent years in the NCAA, ranked 141st among men's swimmers. He decides he's a woman and he starts winning by the length of the pool against the most elite female swimmers in the country. The 141st ranked male in the rankings decides he's a woman, and he just becomes absolutely dominant. Not to mention the fact that the other part of this that's not being discussed, I don't care what you identify as, but there's been so many stories, even in like gyms, there people just go to work out, not even in organized sports, of these guys identifying as women strutting around the locker room, still displaying all of their
junk.
Parts from their junk. That's a good word. But and women have just women that are not politically plugged into this have just said this is unacceptable. This is a sanctuary for me. I'm not going to go into a locker room and watch this guy strut around and wave his wand around and show that off and claim to be a woman. I mean, there's practical reasons here. It has to be a biological decision. I'm sorry if you were dealt the wrong card. Why can't we just for the select few, why can't we just organize some kind of third-party games? We have games for handicapped people. We have games for other folks that have different needs. But you cannot let these still biological males with all the strength and attributes being vastly superior. And the Sue Birds and the Megan Rapinoes and all those people will argue that that these women, that regular women can compete on the same plane as these athletes, but it's just not reality. This is their decisions politically based. It's a far leftist kind of view, and the reason the leftists have embraced them because they want to pick up every group that has been disenfranchised or abused by the system. As they want all these people under their tent, and that's unfortunately it's a political decision, not a practical one.
Well, and I think we're finally seeing, and this may have to do with the fact that we do have an extremely conservative Supreme Court. We have a conservative president. We have had a conservative president for 8 of the last 12 years. We will. We're starting to see America take America back for what it was and what it should be, in that if you support LGBTQ plus causes, have at it. It's your business. You do whatever you want to do. That's fine.
That's America.
But baseball teams like the Mets who are celebrating Pride Month, that's not going over well. Ask Budweiser how that works. When they got a transgender woman to be put her face on the can, it almost killed Anheuser-Busch.
The Giants were making
200 years.
The San Francisco Giants were making their players wear pride caps at a game recently, and a lot of the players who are avid Christians wrote Bible verses under the bill of their cap just to kind of like, yo, God, I have to do this, but I'm on board with you. And they are being disciplined by Major League Baseball for doing that because that violated the uniform code. They can't write anything on their hat. Now they can wear a Pride Month hat. That doesn't violate the uniform. That's approved by Major League Baseball. The whole thing, Tony, this should not be a political argument, but that's what it is. Yeah. You've got all these kind of woke organizations and people that are espousing this kind of different, and I have no problem. It's your life. You are dealt the cards you're dealt, and you make your decisions. If you want to be LGBTQ plus, squared, have at it. It's not in my purview to tell you what to do with your life. But on the other hand, when you start demanding access again, and all of these things, I am totally accepting of anybody. I'm not going to judge you on who you want to sleep with or how you want to conduct yourself or what you identify in being. But don't ask me to celebrate that fact.
Exactly.
And that is what they're demanding. I'm supposed to go to the gay pride
and
parade.
Don't call me phobic because I don't want to wear a rainbow. Just because I don't believe in your style of living doesn't mean that I'm phobic or I'm anti-Semitic or anything else. Yeah, and the word is tolerate. People are like, oh, you're going to tolerate me. Yeah, tolerate is a very good word.
It's a different word than celebrate.
I tolerate a lot of things every single day. People tolerate me. I get that. And it's a good thing because in the definition of toleration, that is tolerating somebody is dealing with something that you don't necessarily agree with, but you do have some sort of respect for it. In other words, if you do something, Kip, that I don't like, I tolerate it, but I respect you as a human being and as a friend, and I understand it. I might not agree with you, but I still love you as a brother through it. That's where we're getting lost here. To make Major League Baseball teams have to wear this crap, and my sense was this. We've seen it now with Target. We've seen it with Walmart. We've seen it with Budweiser. These big corporations, and really read the room, who are deciding, hey, listen, are we going to take 3 or 4% of our drinking crowd or our players association or whatever and turn it on its head and have everyone else get pissed off at us and stop buying things from our store and stop coming to our ball games because of it? It's not carrying the way it used to. It's not going to. And the LGBTQ plus people are starting to have a difficult time with this, particularly with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, and also remember, folks, the way this country works, elections have consequences. And in the last election, Donald Trump carried 84% of the counties in the United States. 84%. That means the Democrats only carried 16%. He won every swing state. It was a landslide win. It was basically America saying, we got to put things back in place here because the Biden years where it was just totally out of control were just an aberration and a joke. But Trump has been able to appoint a couple of extra justices. Now the left is becoming more and more what their true colors have become. The Democrat Party that we once knew is pretty much non-existent. They are pushing a socialist communist agenda now, and I'm not just pontificating off the cuff. These people are identifying themselves that way, and we're just at that point where there can't be outrage because, again, elections have consequences, and this is what the American people indicated in the 2024 election, that this is the direction they want the country to go.
We need more UFC fights on the South Lawn. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how about that?
That's what I'm talking about. All right, brother, I know you got to fly, man. You're up against it. I will see you on Saturday for our big show. If you've gotten a chance to check out the Birmingham Racecourse and Casino starting lineup before, you know what we do. If you haven't, it's going to be a great time to tune in because
this show is going to be epic.
It does. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. We should probably go to the network. And you know how when you have like anniversary shows and stuff, they usually give you like an extra half an hour, 45 minutes. They should give us an hour. They should give us an hour show to celebrate what we're doing here. And certainly kudos to you where you had a visualization of what you wanted this thing to look like and sound like, and it's come together and it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Have yourself a wonderful day, my friend.
I appreciate it, Tony. I want everybody to watch because I want you to see all the people behind the scenes that make what we do possible.
It's going to be great. Thank you, man.
All right, Tone, thanks.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.